The Pentagon confirmed it. Trump's war in Iran started February 28th, and the cost is already out of control. So today I'm going to show you exactly where your tax dollars are going and where they're not going, and why at the same time Republican senators are on the Senate floor trying to make sure that fewer of us can vote. So stay with me here. Let's start with the war and the money. The bill for just the first 6 days of war was $11.3 billion. That is nearly $2 billion every single day. Well, this regime tells us there is no money for our families, that school lunch money has to go, that healthcare credits have to go. They found nearly $2 billion a day for a war that Congress never actually voted on. You want to know what we could have done with $11.3 billion? It is more than the entire annual budget for cancer research at the National Cancer Institute. They say there's no money, so apparently there is money. They just choose where to put it. And now they're asking for even more. The Pentagon has sent a $200 billion supplemental request to the White House that is on top of what they have already spent. And when asked about it, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that, and I'm quoting him directly, it takes money to kill bad guys. $200 billion. So let's talk about what that actually means. $200 billion could fully fund the school lunch program for every child in the United States for the next decade. It could fund the starting salaries of 4.2 million new teachers. It could extend healthcare tax credits for 22 million Americans for over 7 years. And we could replace every single lead pipe in America's drinking water supply and still have $150 billion left over. Again, they say there's no money, and yet they just asked Congress for $200 billion more to keep this war going. And while the bombs are falling and the bills are piling up, they're doing something else at the same time. With our attention fixed on the billions flowing overseas, the rules of how we hold leaders accountable here at home are being rewritten, or at least they're trying to. Because right now, Republican senators are on the floor of the Senate debating a voting bill. Well, all of the senators, but the Republicans are the ones that want this. A bill that they already know that it cannot pass. So why are they doing it? Trump told us exactly why. He said that if this bill passes, Democrats probably won't win an election for 50 years. He called it his #1 priority.
It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble.
And Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, said the quiet part out loud. He posted a chart showing that Democrats are now the favorites to win control of the Senate in 2026. And his response to that was, you need to pass this bill. They're not hiding it. They want to control who votes so that they can control what happens in November of 2026. Now, let's talk about what this bill actually does to you. This is the bill that they call the SAVE Act. The only thing it saves is Republican political power by making sure fewer of us can vote. Under the SAVE Act, you could no longer register to vote online, no more mail-in registration, no more same-day voter registration, and if you need to re-register because you moved, you got married, you changed your name, you would have to show up in person to an elections office, and by the way, your driver's license is not enough to prove your identity. And here's the second part of this whole thing that I need you to understand. Non-citizen voting is already illegal. You have to swear you are a citizen when you register to vote. Studies confirm that it is vanishingly rare. There is no crisis that this bill is solving. But by repeating this story, this lie, over and over, that non-citizens are flooding our elections, they're building something else. They're building the excuse that they're going to use if they lose the midterms in November. They're preloading the claim that the election was stolen once again. And by the way, they're not waiting for the Senate to figure this out either. A dozen states are already moving their own versions of laws designed to keep millions of eligible Americans from voting. And we already saw what happened in Texas recently. Republican Party chairs quietly moved polling locations before the primary. So voters showed up to their usual place to vote and were turned away. So they're already testing what they can get away with. This whole thing is a hostile takeover, not just of our tax dollars, but also of our votes. Now, election law expert Mark Elias says that he expects these power grabs to fail in court, but they're going to keep pushing, and the Senate floor is the proof. But here's the thing. They're counting on you to feel too overwhelmed to act, and that's their strategy. They want to exhaust all of us until we tune out. And the antidote is that we're going to show up anyway. And I'm going to give you something to do, something concrete. But first, I need you to remember, you are not alone. You're probably not watching this alone. And I want you to mark your calendar for March 28th. That's coming up. That is going to be No King's Day. And across this country and across the world, people have had enough and they're going to show up. Not because somebody told them to be outraged, but because they're done. And they know a few things. Number one, there are no kings in this country. And also that voters pick their leaders. Leaders do not get to pick their voters. So consider this your open invitation to figure out how you're going to help us for No King's Day on March 28th. And also, another thing that I want you to do this week, I want you to call your senators. Tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. The number of the switchboard at the Capitol is 202-224-3121. You don't need to be an expert to call. All you need to do is give them your name, your zip code, and tell them that you oppose the SAVE Act. That's it. It takes 3 minutes. Remember, mark the calendars for March 28th and show up because our tax money belongs to us. Our votes belong to us. And they're counting on all of us being too tired to notice or too exhausted and to just give up. And honestly, that's exactly why I'm here. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you want to tell me where you're going to be protesting, how you're going to be participating in the No Kings March, please email me at shout@breakingthefeed.com. That's it for today. I'm Silvia Salazar, and this is Breaking the Feed.